This is CBC Winnipeg News.
This is an update to our March 13th newscast. Our top story indicated CBC had learned of 2 additional deaths of people who'd given plasma. This was following a CBC I-team investigation that uncovered 2 deaths here in recent months at a clinic that pays for donations. On Friday, Health Canada said it had received reports of 4 deaths in the last 10 years, including one in Quebec. It later said the information was given in error and there was no death related to giving plasma in that province. Now, here is CBC's Gavin Axelrod with the updated story.
The Manitoba Health Coalition doesn't want people to get paid for giving plasma anymore. Their call comes after CBC News reported earlier this week that 2 people died after giving plasma at Grifols plasma donation centers in Winnipeg. A 22-year-old international student died in October 2025, and another death happened in January. The deaths are under review by Health Canada.
We support the removal of the license of Grifols to operate across the country and are very concerned about what's happening in Manitoba.
Jonathan Sidewalk uses money he earns giving plasma to offset some costs of living. Sidewalk worries about how a possible ban could affect him.
You don't have as many groceries, you don't take your kids out to events and things like that. It's like, yeah, it'd be pretty impactful.
Other donors are undeterred by recent events.
I guess it's a rare occurrence too, so it was pretty shocking to hear, to be honest, but didn't really change my mind about it entirely.
CBC learned Friday of another death after plasma donation, on top of the 2 that came to light this week. Health Canada said in a statement it has received reports of 1 other death between January 2016 and March 9th of this year. The 3rd one was also in Manitoba. Health Canada didn't give any details on when, where, or how that person died, and it says it has not identified a link between the deaths and the donations.
To get real answers and so that harm like this doesn't happen in the future.
The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner said in a statement it doesn't offer opinions on whether an inquest or review should or may be initiated by other professional organizations. Manitoba's health minister has already said the option to ban the sale of plasma is on the table. Uzoma Asaguera says the province is waiting for the results of Health Canada's review. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
An orthopedic surgeon says Winnipeg now has some of the best spine technology in the world. So good, one patient who suffered from debilitating pain down her leg was climbing a mountain within months. The CBC's Ian Fraze has that story.
You just drill a hole right there.
Carol Begold demonstrates the surgery that last summer gave her life back.
Not quite a year, and I was climbing a mountain at Christmas.
The cutting-edge technology uses 3D imaging to guide surgeons.
I can essentially have X-ray vision inside the patient's back, and I can now make tiny incisions just a centimeter long.
Rather than a large cut to locate the issues in the spine, stripping away the muscle, Dr. Jay Tour says the results speak for themselves.
So it's had a lot of impact in terms of efficiency in our system. And then for the patients themselves, they had less pain. They're back to function earlier.
The machine, the second of its kind in Manitoba, with another at the Health Sciences Centre.
Worldwide, this is the best spine technology. Surgeons across Canada who are already in practice are being flown into Winnipeg to test this technology, observe these surgeries.
How do you feel seeing that?
Begold had debilitating pain that shot down her leg. After surgery, she was hiking in England within months. All that remains from her procedure, these screws.
This is the one that are in your back. Yeah, you've got 4 of these. Yeah.
The Manitoba government spending $2.7 million to expand spinal surgeries at Concordia Hospital. The clinic has performed 42 operations since opening, with the goal of 75 surgeries annually.
This is technology that really changes the game in terms of recovery. So folks are going to be able to go home same day, maybe the next day.
Just like Begold.
After the surgery, the pain was gone straight away.
An outcome many Manitobans needing spinal surgery want for themselves. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The city is warning the public to be on the lookout for a missing medical bag that could cause harm. A Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service medical response bag was stolen Thursday night. The crew were responding to an emergency call in the 300 block of Stanley when it was taken. None of the medications inside the kit contain narcotics, but do contain medications used to provide relief or used during resuscitations. The city says the medications can be dangerous and potentially fatal if taken improperly. Students are back to class in Barons River as community spaces have become makeshift classrooms. The community was hit hard in January when a fire burned down the local school. Students were moved hundreds of kilometers away to attend class in Cranberry Portage. Now they're back home. Temporary classrooms are on the way to the First Nation, but community buildings and spaces are now open as classrooms. Kindergarten to grade 9 students are attending classes in places like the local band office, a daycare, and the council building.
We have provided supplies and new furniture and tables and books and libraries as quick as we can get it in to the school, so there's a level of normalcy for the kids. That's been really important, and we've had really good support from the community of Barons River and the First Nation around getting these spaces up to school standards.
The superintendent says a temporary school site will be ready for students next fall. He hopes a full new school could be built in the next few years. Months of snow combined with stints of warm weather has left a lot of Winnipeg sidewalks covered in ice. And a common solution for getting rid of it is in short supply. Ice melt is sold out in a majority of hardware stores across the city, forcing Winnipeggers to improvise so they don't take a fall. CBC's Mike Arsenault has that story.
A fresh dump of snow is keeping Nelson Salazar busy. His company does snow removal for businesses and residential properties in Winnipeg. He usually buys ice melt to get rid of those slippery spots, but this time he's settling for sand.
Just today was sold out when I was checking, so usually it's okay to find.
Ice melt, a common product used to break up ice on driveways and sidewalks, is in short supply at hardware stores across the city. Salazar says the unpredictable weather is part of the cause.
I think it's the end of the season. We're getting a bunch of 2 centimeters, so that usually happens. I usually buy from outside the city in Birds Hill in bulk, but we're at the end of the season and I ran out.
Dave Dutch decided to improvise. He's using water softening salt on his sidewalk. He looked for ice melt, but they were all sold out.
That's a more difficult product to find, and so I just go with this. It's more reliable and more readily available.
I spoke to dozens of hardware stores in the city, and only 2 had any sort of ice melting product. The limited supply is an issue across the country. One store I spoke with says the unpredictable weather in other parts of the country created a demand that overwhelmed the supply. Another issue? Winter's almost over, and stores aren't restocking shelves with spring just around the corner. Dutch says his softening salt still gets the job done.
It keeps my sidewalk free, and I'm not going to have to worry about any liability issues or injuries to myself.
Salt and sand will have to do until the shelves are restocked next season. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Professional Women's Hockey League is coming to Winnipeg, but just for one night. It's part of the PWHL Takeover Tour, which will see Montreal face off against Ottawa here at Canada Life Centre. The tour showcases the league outside its typical home markets. The PWHL is playing 16 neutral site regular season games in 11 different cities this season, including Winnipeg on March 22nd. The rosters include 3 Manitobans, including Ottawa's alternate captain, Jocelyn Larocque, who's from St. Anne.
I'm so excited to play in Winnipeg. We did in 2018 with the national team, and this is the first time as a professional athlete in the league that a lot of my friends and family are going to be able to watch me play live. So just a ton of excitement and really looking forward to it.
Well, if you'd like to see her and take in that game, limited tickets are still available. All right, time for a look at our forecast now with Riley Lachuk. It was a cooler day today, but Riley, what's in store this weekend?
Well, thanks, Brittany. Certainly, not as warm as it was across the province yesterday. Some parts of the province pushing the freezing mark even as we got through the afternoon. Today, a slightly different story, -9. These are a look at the afternoon temperatures, not necessarily the daytime highs. For Winnipeg, for example, that happened at midnight, that daytime high being -7, the official high, I should say. But for the afternoon, at least, -9, really across much of southern Manitoba, -19 in Thompson, and you can start to see where we have some cooler air starting to push into northern parts of the province, and that will be the theme as we get into the weekend. So, I mean, skies for the most part, we have been under sun and cloud. We have been under a bit more cloud cover as we've gotten throughout the afternoon hours, but that will all change as we start to see some cooler air starting to push in for the weekend here. So overnight temperature, -18 in Winnipeg, a light northerly wind through the overnight hours, partly to a mostly cloudy sky through the morning, and then we're looking at -11 by the afternoon, Brittany. I'll talk about when we have a bit of a warm up in your long range.
All right. Thanks, Riley. The tire slashing spree hits one Manitoba city. Why police are now asking for the public's help. We'll have more on that next. Some drivers in Brandon were left feeling a little deflated after a night of vandalism left more than 70 vehicles with flat tires. CBC's Chelsea Kemp spoke with people in one of the hardest hit neighborhoods.
In the dead of night, vandals struck in Brandon, slashing dozens of tires across multiple neighborhoods. Police say they've received more than 70 incidents and counting. Kola Oshitayo had one of his tires punctured. So did dozens of his neighbors.
I met the tire flat down, and I saw other people changing their tires, and they said someone slashed all the tires.
Oshitayo says because the tire was sliced on the side wall, it can't be patched. He's now waiting on a new one. Police Chief Tyler Bates says there's been tens of thousands of dollars in damage.
This is not targeted against any one particular individual. This is random. I know it's unsettling, and it certainly causes people angst, but know that you are not alone.
Was Werbicki, his granddaughter, and her fiance all had their tires slashed. He expects MPI to declare the damage vandalism because there are so many victims. Werbicki and other residents are still in disbelief that vandals did so much damage in one night.
I just don't see the reason for it. They never broke in to my vehicle and stole anything. Maybe they were upset that my vehicle was locked. I don't know.
Just gutted. Like, first thing in the morning, you're just trying to get your kids to school and then go to work.
For Oshitayo, while the incident was shocking, it doesn't change how he sees the neighborhood.
It's just that you just need to be extra cautious. That's all.
The incident is now under investigation with major crimes. Brandon police are asking anyone with information or video of the vandalism to send it to them or anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Chelsea Kemp, CBC News, Brandon.
A Winnipeg developer is suing Peguis First Nation for breach of contract, alleging it shared confidential information with the CBC. The lawsuit centers on invoices showing how much money Peguis First Nation paid to developer Andrew Marquis for consulting services. Marquis is accusing the First Nation, its chief and councillors, of sharing those invoices with CBC and says they are confidential. It also claims his business has since been impacted. It comes 2 weeks after Marquis filed another lawsuit against the First Nation for defamation. Marquis's lawyer says he has no comment on the lawsuit. Peguis First Nation and its lawyer did not respond by deadline. A new highway traffic inspection station and weigh scale near Headingley is now open. It's located along one of Manitoba's busiest transportation corridors. The province says the $13 million station has the capacity to inspect up to 250 trucks a day. It includes more modern inspection equipment and tech to verify that trucks meet provincial safety, weight, and regulatory standards. And the province says will allow for fewer delays. It will be in operation year-round. Statistics Canada is reporting a sharp drop in employment in February, a month economists had hoped would yield modest gains. There was an overall decrease of 84,000 positions. The decline was driven by a drop in full-time and private sector jobs. Quebec was hit the hardest. It was the province's first significant reduction in 4 years. Young workers fared worse than others, men worse than women. It's the second month of losses after gains late last year. There's little difference from total unemployment last February. The town of Niverville is playing host to athletes from across Canada this week. 8 teams from coast to coast are vying to be champions at the Canadian Collegiate Athletic Association Women's Volleyball Nationals. CBC's Jura McElraith was in Niverville today.
Volleyball teams are hitting the court in southeast Manitoba for a chance to become CCAA champions. Staff at the Niverville Community Resource and Recreation Centre say it's fantastic to see this caliber of women athletes in the community, and fans are loving it too.
It just makes me quite happy. I don't think this was quite what we envisioned when this building was built.
The tournament features teams from across Canada, from BC to New Brunswick, with 2 Manitoban teams, Brandon's Assiniboine College and the hometown favorites, the Providence Pilots. Tyra Peters plays left side for the Pilots. She got into volleyball when she was 11 after seeing her brothers play. She grew up watching men's volleyball.
As I got to university, I started coaching younger girls, and that kind of grew my love for just the next generation of women playing as well.
Head coach Kyle Gunther says after 16 years with the program, he's seen women's sports gain more attention internationally.
It's really special for us to have this opportunity this week as not only a women's volleyball program, but for Providence as a whole to showcase our program on the national stage. I think we punched above our weight class in a lot of ways.
Peters says the experience is meaningful, even though the team didn't advance as far as they'd hoped. For many players, it's their final week on the court together before they graduate. The Women's Volleyball National Championship wraps up on Saturday. Jura McElraith, CBC News, Niverville.
All right, well, Riley is back in now, and I know there are some nicer temperatures on the way, but what do the first few days look like?
So, Brittany, the thing to take away, I guess, through the weekend, I mean, yes, there is a warm-up that I teased coming as we get into next week, but for now, it will be the cold that will dominate our weather story here as we get through the weekend, at least. So you can see this Arctic ridge that started to build over the northern prairies and over parts of Nunavut and the Northwest Territories, and that's going to slump further south as we get through the weekend. You can really see how far south this ridge will dig, especially as we get into sort of the Sunday-Monday time frame, even into parts of the central U.S., getting into temperatures below the freezing mark as we get into the early morning hours on Sunday. This is going to mean a very cold start across the province as we get through Sunday, and this ridge just kind of locks in place and rotates as we get toward the middle of the week. So parts of eastern Canada will have a turn at some of this colder weather as well. Far below seasonal for this time of the year by the time we get to the middle of the week. Then we have a bit of a ridge starting to build to the west as we get into the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, and some of this will start to push further to the east as we get toward the end of the week. So by the end of next week, things I think will feel quite a bit more different than the week that we're ending right now. So 7 days from now. I mean, lots can change between now and then, but certainly I'm expecting a bit of a warm-up, something closer to seasonal by the time we get to the middle and certainly toward the end of next week as well. So closer to the surface, high pressure starting to clear things out over northern Saskatchewan, northern Alberta. A bit of leftover cloud cover in the wake of that system that pushed through yesterday. Maybe a few scattered flurries out of some of this as we head into Saturday morning. But as this high pressure starts to push south, it's really going to lock in place, clear us out, and push some much colder air into the province. Now, the trade-off being we're dodging quite the bullet south of the border, a very strong Colorado low working its way into the U.S. Midwest. This stays stateside, aside from maybe some cloud cover along the international border as we get into Sunday morning. Even in Winnipeg, I think more like a mostly cloudy start to the day Sunday, but then we get back into the sunshine as we get toward the end of the day and into Monday with much brighter skies ahead. So your afternoon temperatures, by the time we get into the 4 o'clock hour or so on Saturday, temperatures -11, -12 across much of southern Manitoba, -13 for Dauphin, and you can see where we have some of that cooler air starting to push into northern Manitoba. So that cold air locking in place for Sunday, -12, -10 sunny for Monday. Then I'm watching that pattern change as we get toward the middle of next week with maybe some snow into the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
All right, well, we have much more to come straight after the break. Stay with us.
Well, it's that time of year, Manitoba. Pothole season. These puppies pop up every year in spring, varying in size from small holes to large craters. But did you know that the weather plays a huge part in determining the state of potholes in the city? The weather in Winnipeg is the perfect breeding ground for them. When you combine long winters and wet springs and add in lots of fluctuating temperatures, it's a recipe for potholes. Here's how they form. When the snow melts, that water seeps through the cracks in the road. That water collects and softens the road base. Once that water freezes, it expands and pushes the pavement upwards. The magic ingredient in making a pothole? Traffic. All those wheels add extra stress on the pavement that's already weakened by the cracks and water. Then it becomes drier, that water evaporates, leaving a hole in the pavement. The weight of the passing cars causes the road surface to collapse into the hole. And voila, this is the end result. Potholes can hit your car and wall it hard. So be cautious while you're driving this spring so you don't lose your annual battle or a wheel to potholes this season. Riley Lechuk, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Donald Trump is warning that Iran will be hit, quote, very hard during the next week. The president's Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said Iran's supreme leader is in hiding where he is wounded and likely disfigured. Meanwhile, the U.S. military is reporting that 6 service members were killed when a refueling plane crashed in Iraq. Tony Waterman has the latest from Washington.
Secretary Hegseth says the U.S. military is laser focused on hitting Iran's military-industrial complex, its defense manufacturers, to really try and limit Tehran's ability to fight, with the most strikes of this war coming on Friday. He was also very dismissive of the impact the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is having on global shipping, despite energy markets spiking. The White House's latest attempt to rein in prices by easing some sanctions on Russia had very little impact on Friday. And President Trump has even said that oil tanker crews need to, in his words, show some guts and sail through the strait. But Hegseth's message to the world was, don't worry about it. The U.S. is going to fix this.
We're working with our interagency partners, and that's not a strait we're going to allow to remain contested or with a lack of flow of commercial goods.
Now, part of the reason why the White House is downplaying concerns is because there's been reporting from sources within the government that the Trump administration underestimated Iran's willingness to close the strategic waterway. And Mujtaba Khamenei, in his first address this week as Iran's new supreme leader, said the strait will remain closed. Hegseth also gave some new information on Khamenei, implying that he's been disfigured in the fighting.
We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually.
Secretary Hegseth also said the U.S. has now assigned an officer outside of Central Command to investigate the strike on a school that left at least 175 people dead, mostly children. Reports this week had indicated that the U.S. is at fault, although the Pentagon has not confirmed this. The number of U.S. service members killed has also risen. 6 people have now been confirmed to have died when a refueling plane crashed in western Iraq on Thursday. The military says that the crash was not caused by hostile or friendly fire. The total number of U.S. service members killed now at least 13. Tony Waterman for CBC News, Washington.
Israeli officials say an Iranian airstrike has injured nearly 60 people in a community near Nazareth. The CBC's Crystal Gabansing reports from the scene.
This massive crater is one of the first things you see at this direct Iranian missile strike site in Zarzir, which is in northern Israel. This is an area that was hit by a missile. Emergency officials say about 24 people were wounded. One of the individuals with more serious injuries was a woman in her 30s. If you take a look at this scene, it'll give you an indication of just sort of what kind of injuries people were dealing with. Obviously, they were dealing with fire and a lot of shrapnel, glass blowing out, metal. There's debris everywhere. You see a car that has been basically burnt and parts of it crumpled up as if it was a toy. This strike site was also visited earlier by Israel's President Isaac Herzog along with his wife. Officials have been making a point of trying to get out to sites like these in an effort to provide some comfort to the locals and talk about the effort to secure locations, especially here in the north. Every once in a while we actually hear Israeli jets going overhead. This is an area that's affected not only by incoming Iranian missiles, but it is so close to the Lebanese border that there's also threats of incoming rockets from that location as well. 2 weeks into this conflict, we are still seeing strikes on Israel. We are still seeing Israeli strike not only in Iran, but also in Lebanon. And let's focus there for a moment because we saw Israel Defense Forces dropping leaflets telling the Lebanese people to provide them with information, to work with them while they are still doing airstrikes in Lebanon. The intensity, the destruction is ongoing, and these sort of scenes are what community members are paying attention to and wondering how long they'll endure this sort of situation. Crystal Gabansing, CBC News, Zarzir, Northern Israel.
Israel has issued fresh warnings for Lebanon. It says the country faces further damage to its infrastructure unless it disarms Iran-backed Hezbollah. This comes as Israel continues to target Hezbollah sites and individuals within southern Lebanon. CBC's Susan Ormiston is in Beirut with more.
Nearly every day now, there is an airstrike in the center of Beirut. This one in a district called Bashura, late Thursday afternoon. The Israeli army claims that Hezbollah was hiding millions of dollars of cash and gold underneath the building. And it says increasingly Hezbollah is hiding within the civilian population. Overnight, there were also airstrikes in the southern suburbs of Beirut, also down south and in the Bekaa Valley, as there has been all week. This comes as the Norwegian Refugee Council warns Lebanon is at a breaking point with a stream of people trying to leave the south coming into Beirut. The government is under increasing pressure to do something about the over 800,000 displaced people that are, many of whom are coming into Beirut. There is widespread concern here that this war is getting uglier by the day. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Beirut.
Mark Carney is now on an overseas trip aimed at bolstering Arctic security and strengthening economic ties with Nordic partners. He stopped in Norway for military exercises that Canadian and other NATO countries' troops are staging. The shadow hanging over those exercises? Russia. The CBC's Catherine Tunney reports.
Nestled between snow-capped mountains, this is where NATO comes to train. Thousands of troops have gathered here in northern Norway and in Finland for Operation Cold Response, including Canadians.
It's not the type of adversary that we've been facing over the last 10 or 20 years, not the same adversary as we faced in Afghanistan. So again, it's going back to basics.
Norwegian officials briefing reporters say the overall exercise covers everything from space to submarines. Today, skis. Prime Minister Mark Carney made the trip north to the Arctic Circle to convince his allies Canada is committed to defending the North from Russian aggression.
We will do that by very large investments, some of which we announced yesterday, and we will do that in partnership with our closest allies. That makes us stronger, as does taking more of the responsibility ourselves.
The exercise takes place against a backdrop of heightened international tensions, including the ongoing war in the Middle East.
Do the German Chancellor and the Canadian Prime Minister still believe that the US can be trusted when it comes to security in the North?
Yes. Yes.
The Norwegian PM stressed that despite war elsewhere, pressure must remain on Russia here in the north and elsewhere.
This is about protecting Norway, but by protecting Norway, keeping low tensions, avoiding conflict here, it is net positive for the security of the United States. We believe that is self-interest. So yes.
The NATO exercise here is meant to test Norway's military readiness in case of a potential crisis. Officials in Carney's office say observing the war game will help inform Canada's Arctic strategy. Catherine Tunney, CBC News, Bardufoss, Norway.
In the U.S., the Department of Homeland Security has confirmed the identity of an armed man who rammed his vehicle into a Detroit area synagogue yesterday. They say he was a 41-year-old immigrant from Lebanon who lost several family members in an Israeli airstrike in his homeland last week. He was killed after his car erupted in flames and security guards opened fire. The FBI has called the attack yesterday a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. Well, Michigan's governor on Friday labeled it as a heartbreaking act of hate. Selling plasma for profit, the practice that is now coming under fire after 2 deaths. More on that straight ahead. As you heard earlier, a 22-year-old international student attending U of W died after selling plasma. Her death and another one in Winnipeg are being reviewed by Health Canada. So far, there's been no link found between the plasma collections and the 2 deaths, but it is raising concerns among some groups who say there needs to be more oversight. Kate Kaler is the Executive Director of Social Planning Council of Winnipeg and spoke earlier to Corey Funk.
As a young person who came to Canada to work hard and get a better life, and I couldn't agree more with the head of the association. We charge international students at University of Winnipeg, I think it's 3 times the usual tuition rate. So they have families back home who have struggled in order to get them as far as they possibly can, and they get here, and we know that there are students who are actually unsheltered, who are using school facilities to shower and things like that. So on top of that, you give them an opportunity to make some money, and they're going to take it and do the best that they can with it.
So how often do you actually hear about people in the community giving plasma for money?
This is, honestly, I was aware of it, but not, we won't work directly with people at the Social Planning Council. We are we do advocacy and policy work and things like that. So I don't have those direct stories. I was aware that it was happening. I did take a look at the website of the business and was quite concerned about the idea that, that there's a real push to give as often as you possibly can in order to, to incentivize that. That's concerning. But we do know that there are people who just simply don't have enough. Here in Manitoba, just our EIA rates are less than 50% of the poverty rate. So we've created these conditions where people have to sell parts of their body. But it's not a simple thing. Most people, I think their knee-jerk reaction is, oh my God, no, we should ban that. It should not be allowed. But that takes away somebody's autonomy. And then we have to look at what the alternatives are then. If we say, no, you can't do this, then are we going to give them that money? Are we going to support them properly?
Mm-hmm. So the problem to you is that it's not that people are donating plasma or not are giving plasma for money in general. It's that they feel like they're in a position where they have to give plasma instead of, saying, hey, I just want a couple extra bucks. Let's go give some plasma.
There might be people out there who do that, but I would think that, that wouldn't be the first way to earn money. I think there are just too many people who are forced into it. If they wanted to give plasma, they could do it voluntarily. Unfortunately, they're in a position where they need to do anything they possibly can. In my mind, I immediately went to sex work. Most people feel that people should not pay or be paid to have sex. But then what are the alternatives? What else are we giving those individuals? What other opportunities are we affording them so that they don't actually have to sell their bodies or, in this case, parts of their bodies?
So you think that banning these types of clinics actually isn't a good approach?
No, I wouldn't say that, because the issue would be is that, again, there would be a gap created that we wouldn't be able to fill. As we know, the Canada Blood Service is saying they don't have enough plasma. We have to do it. I go to my concerns again about privatization of any sort of healthcare service, but also the idea that we don't have enough. So how come we can't just get Canada Blood Services in order to be able to compensate people? Something like that, because we've created a space for a middle person, a middle company. And again, as the review is not finished, as you've said, but during a review, we should be asking questions and making sure what we're doing is actually the best option.
So what would you like to see? Obviously, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, so that international students in particular don't feel like they have to go give blood for money or give plasma for money.
Well, how about we don't rely on international students in order to support our universities? And we actually, as a province, we actually pay those universities enough so that they can deliver the education that we all expect. So we're not triple charging university students or international students, because that's what we're doing. Their tuition supports the university. Why are they paying that much more than somebody who lives in Canada? Because they also have to pay so many other additional expenses. So in that situation, and specifically, I would say let's look at that situation.
The weather update is brought to you by Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. When things go wrong, we do what's right.
All right, well, we saw a little bit of everything weather-wise this week, so let's take a look at what's to come in the next few days. Riley is back for a check on your forecast. Riley.
All right, with the kind of week that we had with some of the snow, some of the wind, temperatures that are falling toward the weekend here, double dose of Feline Friday, I think, is in order for us to head into the weekend. So first up, we have Sweetums. Very cutie pie from Pat here. By the way, 14 years old. Wow. Another one for you tonight. This one is Sasha with this beautiful amaryllis in the sunroom on a cold winter day. You can see some of the snow outside, but you know what? Something like that would certainly brighten my day up on what is going to be a bit of a chillier weekend than seasonal. -11 by the afternoon in Winnipeg tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds, certainly cloudier at times as we get through the day tomorrow, but prepare for a bit of a chillier one. This -11, bit of context for you here. We'll take a look at the almanac. -11, usually the normal overnight low for this time of the year. So that's how far off the mark we are as we head into a chilly weekend here. So officially the high for Friday, -7. That's the temperature we hit at midnight. We've been hanging around -8, -9 through much of the afternoon in Winnipeg. But if you're looking for a bit of a bright spot in the forecast, that sunset now at 7:30 p.m. as we push our days longer here, about 3.5 minutes more daylight per day as we go forward toward the end of March here, when we'll be closer to 8 o'clock sunsets. So maybe that's the bright spot you needed heading into the weekend here. Overnight temperatures around -20 across western Manitoba, -18s, -19s in the east, and where we do have a bit more cloud cover, -15s into northwestern Ontario, and some colder weather into northern Manitoba, -31 in Thompson, -32 in Gillam. not a lot of wind with this, so that will be the saving grace as we aren't looking at those extreme wind chill values as we head into the morning hours on Saturday. So by the afternoon, lots of sunshine in northern Manitoba, maybe a bit of stray cloud cover here and there. -14s by the afternoon in the Pas and OCN, and temperatures hang around -10 for the most part, give or take a few degrees across southern Manitoba as we head through the afternoon hours on Saturday. Again, a pretty variable sky, a mix of sun and clouds. Certainly as we head into the day, we are looking at some cloud cover coming and going throughout particularly the extreme southern part of the province. Long range in the west, you can see that snow pushing in on that system I was talking about earlier into Tuesday. Temperatures start to warm up by the middle of the week, but a bright couple of days ahead, and that trend continuing into northern Manitoba as well. -10s through the Pas and Flin Flon as we get through Sunday and Monday, and temperatures hanging around -25, Brittany, along the Hudson Bay coast.
All right, thank you, Riley. Well, some people watch the Academy Awards for the fashion statements. Some watch it to root for their favorite performances. And for others, though, it's the thrill of the Oscars in making the right predictions. With his expected winners, here's Eli Glasner.
The Oscars are just around the corner, so we are going to help you with your Oscar pool, taking a look at some of the most fascinating races of the actors, beginning with Best Supporting Actress Amy Madigan. She is the malevolent center at the heart of Weapons. And the Best Supporting Actor category, I love this race, Benicio del Toro versus Sean Penn. I love what Benicio brought to that film, but I think the safe bet is Sean Penn for playing Colonel Lockjaw. Let's move on to Best Actress, and that is probably the safest pick of the bunch. Jessie Buckley, that heart-wrenching performance in the movie Hamnet, playing the wife of William Shakespeare. And then finally, Best Actor. Could it be Ethan Hawke? Could it be Leonardo DiCaprio, or could it be Michael B. Jordan? A lot of people in this town thinking Michael B. Jordan is going to go home with one of those golden statues. We had a chance to talk to the producer about the potential they saw in Jordan years ago working on their first film.
Being in Oakland with Michael, eating a hamburger and fries, and talking about not only that it was an honor for him to have this kind of leading role, but it was a responsibility. And I swear, from that day of us making a tiny movie to us making Sinners, this massive movie that's had a massive reaction, he hasn't changed.
But we can't talk about the Oscars without celebrating the many Canadian nominees, especially in animation. Take a look at Domi Shi. She's back with Elio, which is a movie about a boy being abducted by aliens, but Domi Shi pulled on her own personal experience in high school for that film.
Don Mills Collegiate, like one of two members of the anime club in the 2000s, being like, oh, if only I could find a place where, like, you know, like people spoke my language, who understood all the nerdy references that, you know, like that I referenced every day. And we, you know, Maddie and I just infused the character of Elio with that desire to find a place where he truly belonged.
And when you're looking at animation, don't forget another Canadian director, that is Maggie Kang, the co-director of K-pop Demon Hunters, surely going home with some Oscar gold. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Still ahead, if you thought your week was tough, check out this guy. He won gold in one of the most punishing sports at the Arctic Winter Games. We'll have his story, plus a last check on our forecast up next. Stay with us. Premier Wab Kinew says Manitobans will be consulted on whether they should continue changing their clocks twice a year. He says he and other politicians have been professionally and personally getting an earful about daylight saving time. Kinew says consultation will likely be a survey. BC recently announced it's moving to year-round daylight time.
All right, here's a look at your 7-day forecast now. And we are, as I mentioned earlier, I sound like a broken record, chilly weekend ahead. Our normal daytime high for this time of the year, -1. In fact, our normal overnight low, -11 for this time of the year. We aren't even going to get to that for a high on Sunday in Winnipeg. You know what? Bright sunshine. We are looking at a sunnier back half of the weekend into next week, minus 10 into Monday. Then I'm watching the system. There's still a bit of uncertainty, but it looks like it will impact the province later Tuesday into Wednesday with some snow. But then we get into new air mass in behind this, so up to the freezing mark by Wednesday with some clearing skies through the day, and then all the way up to +2 by Friday. But skies remain generally unsettled as we head into next week.
All right, thanks, Riley. Well, the Arctic Winter Games are underway in Whitehorse. They're competing in traditional Arctic sports and games, including knuckle hop, a physically grueling sport. And a Canadian from the Northwest Territories has won gold while also setting a new world record. His performance is your Daily Lift.
I broke the world record and Arctic Winter Game record in the knuckle hop. I went a distance of 217 feet, beating the old record, which was 206 feet. It feels really special.
The knuckle hop is a plain endurance competition.
A long time ago, it was a strategy used to sneak up onto seals. It's beauty and grace along with strength and technique. Coming around that corner at 170 feet, I was getting very, very tired. The cheering of the crowd and some of my competitors, that carried me quite a few extra feet. Once I knew that I had passed that world record, I got to celebrate. I held back some tears.
It was just a really special moment for our whole team. When he won the gold, a lot of us were really, really happy for him.
I'm really tired and sore, but I'm feeling fantastic. It's a good day for me.
Tired and sore is likely an understatement, but I do love hearing that little bit of history there for it. Congratulations to him, better him than me. Have a wonderful, safe, and warm weekend. We'll see you back here next week.